you know what everything is.
Okay, so there is Alistair is the red-caped paladin.
Yep.
And he is back-to-back with the paladin with the flail and the shield. Then there are the 3 paladins attacking Thok. The tiefling is moving in with his sinister-looking scythe up to the flanks of the paladins attacking Thok. And Tobias and Alistair are squaring off, and it seems that a almost divine battle is occurring at this point. Everyone else, the group that Hardcastle and Leona and all them are all just kind of staring in awe.
Robert points Dawnbringer at the paladin with a flail, and he says, "Leave now, or you will not get a chance for mercy."
Roll persuasion. And the paladin looks at you, and he raises his flail, and then you raise Dawnbringer a little bit, just kind of like, really, dude? And he drops it, and drops the shield, and backs away.
Robert nods to him, and he moves up to one of the paladins, is attacking Thok, and he says, "Come, fight me one-on-one. It is beneath you to gang up on a filthy creature such as him."
At that point, the dwarf turns and goes, "Ugh! Oh, box your nose in!" And he moves away from Thok and moves around, stepping over the corpse of his crippled and fallen ally to square up against you. But we'll get to that after I deal with Tobias and Alistair. Alright. Tobias lashes out first at Alistair. His sword comes up and it slashes across Alistair's chest, ripping a hole in his armor and cutting the clip for his cloak as the cloak flutters down to the ground. Alistair swings his hammer wildly, and Tobias, for his old age, deftly dodges out of the way of both. Then the dwarf turns to you and moves up to fight. Oh wait, sorry, gotta do one more thing. Eldrin walks up and, ooh, shit. The tiefling walks up behind the half-elf that you're fighting, Thok, and he swings his scythe at her. The scythe pierces her through her, like, directly through the back, and it flares with energy. The tiefling just snarls and then rips it out and goes, "That's for all the souls that you have damned." And then he slices her head off. Fully yes on your turn. But you can type it to me. Yeah, you can type it to me. Actually, just type it to me.
Will do.
So she dead. This guy swings at you, Thok, again. He seems to be getting a bit more desperate. Does that hit or no? That doesn't hit, no.
It doesn't hit. 25.
Okay. I need to write you guys' AC down so I don't have to keep asking. Anyway, then the dwarf comes at Morty and swings at him with his hammer and misses. Robert, though, please take me.
Shrugs it off.
please roll Constitution with disadvantage, Robert.
Oh, God, I didn't need to roll twice.
Alright. You bite through the pain as you move about, the armor cuts into your flesh a little bit more. It is Maxwell's turn.
I messaged you the message.
Gotcha.
What should I roll for that?
That's fine. Go ahead and do what you need to do.
Let's see. Robert,
Mm-hmm.
I think Alistair needs to pay for what he's done to the children.
What
Do
are
you
you
agree?
planning on doing?
Not killing him, but at least, if possible, not killing him. But we need to take him in. He needs to be punished for what he's done here.
Needs to pay penance.
Sure. All I know is that he needs to be stopped.
Then do what you must.
Good.
So, Drip, I just noticed your fucking picture on Girl 20.
Yeah!
That's a great picture.
By the way,
From behind.
real quick, since you guys just brought it up, that picture that I have for my thingy is a picture drawn by Mr. Mars Rising. Great creative streamer. You guys should check him out on Twitch. He also games, does a lot of that. So yeah, check him out, Mr. Mars Rising. I'll type it in the chat for you guys. Anyway, go ahead, Morty, or Foley, sorry.
I'm gonna step out from behind Robert's shoulder pads and try to incapacitate Alistair by shooting arrows at his knees with the oath bow.
Alright. The first arrow strikes and just pierces his leg, causing him to wince and gasp. He turns around and yells out a battle cry that is cut short as you look over and see that Leona and your arcane council are forming a barrier around Tobias and Alistair. It cuts off all sound, but you guys can still see within it. Thought, it is your turn.
Thought in his blood crazed lust, and his lack of opponents. Wants to just beat down this last paladin and move on to beat down more holy warriors.
Alright, you swing the first time and you slice off the paladin's left arm. He screams in pain as his sword drops to the ground. But as you swing for your second hit, he falls to the ground at the last second, dipping underneath it. And you kind of growl and savagely yell before you swing your axe high and bring it down, slamming into his body. Unfortunately, Soldier Shield doesn't seem to react the same way. It is no longer absorbing the energy like it used to.
Yep. Oh no.
And Robert, your turn.
Robert points Dawnbringer once more at the paladin in front of him and says, "Stand down. This is your only instance of mercy."
He runs up and he headbutts you in the stomach. It doesn't do any serious damage, but please take 1 point of 1 point of damage as the metal shards poke into your stomach.
Robert grunts, and whilst the dwarf has his head right next to him, Robert just jabs down, like, you know, between the shoulder and the neck where it's real fucking sensitive and soft.
Yep.
Yeah, there.
Ooh.
Alright, you swing down, you stab through his shoulder, and he screams out in pain. But he is not dead. This is a dirty ass dwarf. Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Oh, that's bad. You do have a second attack.
Oh, no? I
Do
thought,
it again.
And then he just pulls it out and jabs it right the fuck back down.
Die already.
Ledge, it still does have its fluidity, yes.
Okay.
Alright, so how did you do that, Morty?
He rips it out like the same way he jabbed it down and forces it back down again, trying to get deeper.
Alright, this time as you stab back through, you see, Maxwell, you see almost like a fiery little penis. The sword stabs out through the dwarf's crotch as he screams out, "Ah! Ah!" And he falls over, the blade literally cutting through his chest and his armor as he falls, leaving Robert standing there with the sword like plunged down in midair. You
Robert
just
mutters the Dawnbringer, "I'm sorry I tainted you with that dwarf."
the light flickers. Alright, at this point,
Imagine that's because he just fucking killed a Lavender with it.
at this point, you guys, out of enemies to fight, look over to Tobias and Alistair. Tobias jabs at Alistair once, and Alistair meets it with a bash of the handle with his hammer before he swings around and he clips Tobias in the face, sending him sprawling to the ground, his jaw cocked out of place. Tobias swings his sword up to get a free blow as he's trying to force his way back to his feet, but Alistair dashes it to the side and brings his knee up, kicking the old man in the face. As you look over, an assassin moves and jumps off the roof and heads for the group. Your mages, Maxwell, turn their attention to him, and their spell traps him. As they do, they lose concentration, and the barrier falls around Tobias and Alistair. As both Tobias and the shadowy figure behind him try to force their way back up to their feet, Alistair just kind of laughs and looks him over, the fiery form behind him mimicking him almost perfectly. He looks over at Tobias and just spits. He goes, "You are a worthless